in nursing education. Then I went to New York, and that was really fun because it was different, and that's changed. I don't think I'd want to go back. But we had the elevated railroads there, and so the streets were really dark, some of the streets on 3rd Avenue especially. And because those trains, they just knocked the sun out, and the buildings knocked the sun out. I was there about 4 years, and I wanted to work at the different hospitals. So I got to work at Cornell, and that was a New York hospital. It was very prestigious for hospital. And of course Bellevue, I had to go to Bellevue. I just had to go down to Bellevue. And it was interesting.
And that was in New York also?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I got married in New York, and then I went to Kentucky. Where did we go? Lexington. Stayed there, and then we came up here.
You moved to Ohio?
We moved to Ohio.
Yep. And that's where you live today?
Right.
Toledo. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Allison, I almost didn't know where Toledo was this morning.
We looked it up. We found it. It's on the lake.
Oh, so what was college life, and how was it different from high school life?
Well, mine wasn't all that different because I had to work. So I didn't have time to play around too much. And in high school, high school was, well, the teachers told you if you settle down and spend your study periods and get your lessons done, you won't have to take any homework done. So I spent my time getting my lessons done, so I didn't have to have any homework. So I never had any homework. I didn't take it. It's refused. I'd do it at school. That was the agreement. So, well, high school was okay. It was, yeah, I didn't really like it. It was, I wasn't on the inside. I was on the outside looking in. So if you don't belong, I don't know if it's still that way, if you don't belong to the clique that's running it, why you're kind of out of luck. And all of our class were loners, most of us, except for Marion and Lois and I. I mean, we stuck together. I don't know who else was, the others were loners.
So was Lois John's sister?
Yeah.
What about Alice? Was she a loner or was she in the clique?
No, I think she was in the clique.
She ran the school.
No, she didn't run the school, but she had fun.
What about your perception, Alice? Do you agree with how the school was back then? Were there cliques of kids back then, just like there probably are today?
A little bit,
A little
yes.
bit.
And but they weren't as. They always thought we were cliquey, but we weren't. They just thought we were. You see, so there's a difference in the perception of the issue.
I see.
Right, so what was your job like?
What job? Which one?
Nursing, I suppose.
Oh, well, we've got the Warriors who went down to, before this we went down to Orondo every day and picked apples to send help with the war effort. That was Marion's idea. And we rode down on a big cattle truck. He'd come up here at 6 o'clock in the morning and pick us up. And we'd go down and work for, what, till 6 o'clock at night. We had an hour off for lunch. And we'd get breaks, and it was fun working in the orchards because they weren't hard on us. They just kept us busy. And that was a lot of fun. I liked that job.
Let's follow up on that. Were there several Waterville students that worked in the orchards for a summer job?
I did, Marion did, and I don't know who the other kids were.
I did for about 20 minutes. I didn't like this. Oh, no, I don't think I was any good at it. We were thinning apricots, and it was so hot. You know, I don't think I was very good at it. I can't remember whether he let me go or I quit. It could have been a combination. Well, if they did, they came and picked you up and you went down in a truck or something.
I can't remember who. There were a lot of big boys in the truck behind some big kids. And I don't remember who.
My sister worked many years in the orchards in the summers.
Yeah, she and I used to work in.
They saved their money, so that's why they were incredibly rich.
Well, we got busy talking we had fun under the trees. We had that lunch hour. We gobbled our food down quick, and then they had nothing to do for an hour. So we, of course, sat and talked, and we got the right idea. We were figuring out if we smoked a pack of cigarettes a day at I think they were 5 cents a pack then, 15 cents. Anyway, how much money we would save if we didn't smoke. And well, that was enough to put us through college at that time. So, way, we thought that was pretty good.
So you dropped smoking.
We never started. I never started.
You never started. Never
They
started.
never started.
And so anyway, Mary and I, we helped win the war. I mean, we're part of that great generation that Brokaw talks about. How we put our money, well, what you got, we got about 25 cents an hour. And so you put the money, you went to the bank or the post office and bought what they call savings stamps. You know, 25 cents, and you got a little book and you put them in there. And when you got the book filled up, you took it down to the post office and they gave you a bond that was good for 10 years, and in 10 years you could turn it in and get, well, the $25 one, you get $50. We thought that was really great. You know, take the whole 10 years to double your money. So we put all our money in that.
Why don't we, Ben, why don't we see if there's people in the audience here that would like to ask some questions to these two gals? Does anybody have any questions they'd like to know? Lauren, go ahead. Speak loudly, Lauren.
Okay. How was the school spirit when you were in high school? Like, did you have pep rallies and that kind of thing?
Oh, we didn't have too many kids in the class. I think our whole high school was about 90 kids or less. But it was good. I think the school spirit was good. I mean, we turned out for everything, even if we didn't like the football game or anything. I think it was very good.
And when you say turned out, you mean you went to the game?
We went to the games.
You went to the game. Yep.
I would agree with that. I think it was. And we had the gym, was the downstairs, you've seen the picture of the school and the underneath part of that was the gymnasium, okay? And it was low, and because it was low, they couldn't have high shots. So our boys could win because they could learn to shoot like that, and it would go in, and their boys would hit the ceiling. And the room for the cheerleaders, it's such an important cheerleader, was about this wide because you didn't have any gym room. You know, it was just right here. The bleachers, so-called, were there, and then just that much. But our routines were not very fancy. We didn't need a lot of room.
Does anybody else have a question out there? Matilde?
What is your greatest memory of school?
My what?
What your best memory of school?
Your greatest memory
School?
of school. Oh, don't look so distraught.
She's not going to tell.
You can tell I didn't like school very much.
You didn't.
No, I hated it.
But you...
I don't know why I got through school. I don't know how I got a college degree. I don't know why I went. I don't know how that happened because I was not a good student.
Okay.
And I hated school. Well, I know how I got through nurse's training. I wanted to be independent, and that was my ticket out. And one of the people from Waterville had been in the same school 2 years ahead of me, so she was still there. And every time anybody said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Waterville." "Oh, do you know so-and-so?" I said, "Yeah, what about her?" She had to take the state boards 3 times before she passed it. And that just hit me. I mean, as, oh boy, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to take it once. I don't want them to think people in Waterville are dumb.
So did you pass it your first time?
Boy, did I, yeah. I got everything above 90. I think 92 was my lowest score. 92 percentile or something. I don't know how it is.
Right. Does anybody else have another question?
So I guess my last question is,
Go ahead, Bill.
besides playing outside until dark, were there any particular hangout spots in town?
The saloon.
No, you didn't.
You didn't hang out
I
at the
didn't hang
saloon,
out.
did you?
Nobody hung out. All the men, all the farmers around here came and hung out there.
Okay.
I don't know, the kids, all they did the drugstore, I think sometimes after school they'd go in and have a Coke or something.
Yes, but you had to be very careful because that was expensive. They were like
Oh, yeah, things are.
a nickel or a dime, and you had to be real careful of how you spent your money.
Yeah.
I could make every high school kid a millionaire by what they spend on their pop money.
No.
That's my new project, but anyway.
Talk to us about the drugstore a little bit. So there was a drugstore in town. It had milkshakes or soda.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mitchell's, if I recall.
Or, was
Yes.
it Mitchell's?
Yes, and it had a bar, and I don't know where that went. They had a wonderful, what am I doing, granite, what is it? No, it was fancy.
I don't
And you could sit up there and order your milkshakes, which cost 25 cents, I think,
Yeah.
maybe 35. And then it had a little four-person thing right by the window, 4 or 5 people in a little
Oh, yeah.
booth
Yeah.
in the front by the window. And you could hang there a little bit. But we couldn't hang out very long. I mean, that was.
So today, a coffee at the Highway 2 Brew is a popular thing for even a teenager. They have to have their coffee.
Well, they got money now, I mean, we were poor.
But what was a milkshake considered like,
Luxury.
A luxury.
it was a luxury?
Oh,
So you
yes.
wouldn't have been able to have it every day like
Oh,
a
no,
coffee
no,
today.
no.
No, it was a luxury. 25 cents was a lot of, I mean, that was pretty good change back then, wasn't it?
My father was an attorney, and I can remember one time he was paid by the farmer in chickens, and they were live chickens. That wasn't too good because my dad didn't take necks off chickens very well. So the neighbor took the heads off the chickens and brought them back ready to eat. But I mean, that was a barter, and that was his fee, and that was all the farmer had.
I thought my mother paid Dr. Ellis that way.
Let's have one last question from Matilde. Did you have one more, Matilde?
How many times do you stay at school every day? Like, do you have lunch at school?
Did you stay at school the
Yes.
whole day?
Yes.
You did.
We had an hour off for lunch, I think, maybe it was a
Yeah, it
long
was fun.
lunchtime.
We went home for lunch. Early in grade school, we went home for
Oh,
lunch.
you did, because you
Yeah.
lived closer.
Yeah.
But we live out on the edge of town, and it took 15 minutes to walk to school every day. Parents did not pick us up in a car and carry us. They said, you would walk and come. I mean, even when it was snowing and it was cold, we still had to walk.
Was your place out where Mark's
Yeah.
place was?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so right there on the edge of
Yeah.
town.
But speaking of the ice cream cones, they were 5 cents each at Double Decker.
5 cents each at Double Decker. That was the name of the place?
No, that was the.
The Double Decker.
Two
Double.
dips.
So 10 cents for a Double Decker or 5
5
cents?
cents.
Now, was that at Mitchell's or somewhere else?
Mitchell's.
Mitchell's.
It was.
So milkshake was a luxury, ice cream was a little more.
Well, you had to be
You
careful.
still had to have money to buy it.
You had to be careful. You might have to pay with the chicken,
That's all he, well, he didn't get any money for it.
right?
You
He was a
could eat it.
lawyer.
He was a lawyer.
Wow.
I could eat
Yes.
chicken.
The little checkered tablecloth was his office.
Ben, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, was there a lot of business in Orondo?
A lot of what?
Business in Orondo during this time.
I heard there was like hotels and.
How would they have done? No, I don't think so. They had apple orchards, and Vinecourts eventually put a store down there. But I think you just kind of drove through Orondo. You didn't stop
That hasn't changed.
at the bakery when I was in high school. And I don't know, they moved down there sometime, I think, after the war, and they started making money. It was pretty good, pretty lucrative for them.
Yeah, we had cleaners. I worked at the cleaners. That was my first job.
Well, unfortunately, Irene and Alice and Ben, we have to finish this interview.
Oh, heck, it's kind of getting to be fun.
Yeah, this has been great. We certainly have only scratched the surface. I mean, to do an interview in about 40 minutes, we have a lot more that we could touch on, but that's the way it goes. But we appreciate it. Thank you. And how about if our audience could just give these gals a hand for coming in, and that'll wrap it up. So thank you, Tyler Lopesack, for filming, and thank you for interviewing Ben.
Yeah, of course.
And Irene and Alice, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for